information about it. Okay. But we need to keep this recorded for the project, because after the project, we would like to keep this as an information for the other possible people who might be interested in the same topics available on the website of the participating organizations. But when we start the Q&A session, we will ask you to tell your opinion, of course, if you're interested in, or to copy in the chat, wherever. We will stop recording that. So we will keep your rights somehow. So regarding the team today, we have a very diverse team in terms of the countries we are coming from, but I would say we are not very much gender sensitive. So here you can see only ladies. We have our expert Oksana Pasichnik from Ukraine. With us is also Irina Sabor, based in Oslo, but also from Ukraine. Then we have Marianti Antoniou from Oslo, but also from Greece. And from Greece, we have another two lovely ladies, which is Dora Katsamori and Ksenia Zugelu, who are now based in Athens. And of course, I am Bojana Dujkovic-Blagojevic. I got this wonderful opportunity to moderate this event, and I'm in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So I will just give you a few information regarding the agenda. This event will last for 1.5 hours, and we will really try to be punctuate on time. So in the beginning, my lovely colleague Marianti will tell us a few information about the project itself. I will give you a few information about the team. And after that, we will have a first of the two PowerPoint presentations we have prepared for this event. First one will be presented by Dora and Ksenia. And this presentation will give us some information about the education in the age of AI. After that, our lovely colleague Oksana Pasichnik will tell us more about the AI and education, future ready. Are we already in the future? I don't know. Oksana will tell us. Of course, in between these presentations and after, we will give some time to participants, because we are very keen to learn from you, to hear your input, because this is a learning process also for us, and we would like to share with you. So Marianti is recording, so we can start. Before Marianti starts, tell us something about the project, I will briefly present my lovely young colleague. So Marianti is a part of the coordination team of the AIEdu project. She's an experienced primary education teacher with a diverse background in teaching both in Greek primary schools and internationally. In addition to her classroom experience, she has extensive expertise in teaching Greek and English as a second language in online settings. Currently, she serves as a project coordinator at European Wergeland Centre. Marianti holds a Master's of Science in Human Rights and Multiculturalism with a specialization in child rights, representation of unaccompanied children, and intercultural cultural dialogue. So, before Marianti starts, we have here a QR code for you. Please use your smartphones and scan the code and tell us something about yourself. Instead of talking, you can also write in the chat if you feel like that, but also you can use this QR code and try to answer some questions. So, Marianti, the floor is yours while people are responding to the Mentimeter.
Yes. Thank you so much. So, my name is Marianti, and I'm working at the European Wergeland Centre. And I will briefly talk to you about this AIEdu project and all the webinar emails that you've been receiving, how they're connected to what we do. So the abbreviation stands for Artificial Intelligence in Education, and we're looking into how AI influences the way teachers teach and students learn to live in democracy. We started in January this year, and we're going to be concluding the project December this year. The project aims on encouraging the development of new approaches and teaching practices in education by focusing on the impact of the artificial intelligence. The objectives and thus the phases that have occurred are two. First, research in the field of AI and education, and then raising awareness regarding the use of AI in education and in citizenship education as well. And that's why we're here today. So far, we have an ongoing research going on. As I mentioned, we've reached 137 participants, teachers, and/or educators of formal and non-formal education. And you can find the QR code if you have not filled in the research and you want to be part of it. As in the second phase, we're in webinars now. Today we have our first one on the myths and realities of AI in education, and 2 more are coming up in November and in December. Teaching with AI is the first topic, actually the second. And the third one, ethics in AI and democratic education. Again, there is a QR code that you can register your interest in. Let me just say that we're going to send you a follow-up email after this webinar with relevant information and all the links. So don't feel obliged right now to do or take any photos. It's fine. You can find more information, yes. And I wanted to mention that the project AIEdu was funded by the Civic Innovation Fund, a unique European pooled fund of the CIVICS Innovation Hub, and it is supported by the Robert Bosch Stiftung. And today we're excited to have with us Alla Petrova, and I would like to ask her to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianti. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. Yes, my name is Alla Petrova. I'm working at the CIVICS Innovation Hub. We are a pan-European NGO in civic education. And one of our projects is Civic Innovation Fund, or CIF. And with this fund, we support young civic innovators, young NGOs in civic education. Yeah, thank you for the link. Yeah, and I think for a lot of people here, it can be quite relevant, this fund of ours. And actually next week we're opening the next call, so feel free to check and also to apply if this is relevant for you. On this link you can find the criteria. And yeah, we're happy to support the AIEdu project and cooperate with Demokritos and European Wergeland Centre. So yeah, thank you very much for inviting me here as well.
Thank you for being here. It was great. You can find more information in the chat. We just sent you the link. And apart from Alla, we have 2 organizations behind this, Alla and CIF, of course. We have 2 more organizations behind this project, Demokritos, the National Centre for Scientific Research in Greece, and the European Wergeland Centre located in Oslo. I would like to invite Dora Katsamori to present as the Demokritos organization. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you too. Welcome from me as well. I'm Dora Katsamori, and with my colleague Xenia Ziovelou, we are lucky to be members of the Demokritos community. NCSR Demokritos is the largest interdisciplinary research center in Greece and one of the biggest research centers in Europe. We apply research and we receive funds by government funds or other European or private sectors. NCSR Demokritos has 6 independent institutes that focus their research on different scientific fields. One of these is the Institute of Informatics and Telecommunication, where our focus on research and development in the areas of telecommunication network, web technologies, and intelligent systems. At the same time, the Institute pursues both long-term basic research as well applied research by implementing well-defined R&D projects. So in the IIT community, we have our lab. It's called AI Politia Lab. It's a new interdisciplinary lab exploring how we can ensure a responsible and sustainable technology-enabled future. And that is focusing trustworthy, ethical, and democratized for all and for the good. Thank you. We're very happy being part of this project.
Thank you so much, Dora, for your presentation. Let me continue with the second organization which I'm part of, the European Wergeland Centre. We're a research center on educating for democracy and human rights. We're working with strengthening democratic competences, promoting inclusive education and democratic learning environments, providing teaching and learning resources, build partnerships, and contributing to existing policy. The European Wergeland Centre was established by the Council of Europe and Norway in 2008. And as I said, we're working with democracy, human rights, and intercultural understanding with the member states of the Council of Europe. We're bridging policy and practice, and we have over 50 partners in the field, including authorities, universities, teacher training centers, and NGOs. Our core work revolves around the competences for democratic culture as described in the reference framework of competences for democratic culture by the Council of Europe. And we're focusing on the values, attitudes, skills, knowledge, and critical understanding. Okay, and before I give the floor back to Bojana, I would like to present our moderator a little bit as well. Bojana is a history educator and consultant specializing in teacher training and textbook development. For over 20 years, she has been active in promoting history education in Bosnia and Herzegovina and the Western Balkans. She focuses on controversial topics related to the former Yugoslavia and works with the Euroclio network. Bojana holds a master's in history from Banja Luka University. So Bojana, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Marianti. Thank you, Ala. Thank you, Dora. I think we are now ready to start almost the first presentation, Education in the Age of AI, Dora Katsamori and Ksenia Zuvelu will present it. But before they start, just let me introduce them a bit. So Dora is associate postdoctoral researcher in the field of citizenship, education, and inclusion. Lately, her field of research concerns AI and education, as well as explainable AI systems as a member of European working groups. Dora has a long experience as a project coordinator and researcher in Europe and national funded research projects, and as an educator in the field of the civic and political education. She is also involved in the field of refugee education in Greece. And on the end, I would like to add that Dora is my dear colleague in the Wergeland Centre. So Ksenia is our second speaker today. Ksenia is a postdoctoral associate researcher, head of AI Politia Lab, Institute of Informatics and Telecommunications of the National Center for Scientific Research, Democritus. Ksenia is an associate researcher focusing on the ethical and socio-technical challenges posed by AI and its implications for innovation and policy. She is also a visiting academic in the University of Southampton, UK, and an innovation expert for the European Commission. Ksenia acts as a co-chair of the AI focus group of the European Digital SME Alliance, and it is a member of the Scientific Committee on AI for Insurance of the AI for People. Ksenia has sorry, I have to turn the paper. Ksenia has been a member of the Greek Sectoral Scientific Council on AI and data policy and has been a member of the working group responsible member for the development of the national AI strategy for Greece, supporting the democratization of AI in a sustainable way for all. So girls, the floor is yours. You have exactly 20 minutes and I will call you in 3 p.m. and 42 minutes. So start.
Great, thank you a lot, Bojana. If I may set my screen, I think it will be easier now. Okay. It seems that maybe it's better I can do it, so it's fine. If you can do it for me, Marianne, it's better. No worries. Thank you for that. So, education in the age of AI, the myths and realities about AI and education, and what we will try to do with Ksenia is to make a short introduction to this field and somehow present you what AI in education means. If we may proceed to the next ones.
Yes, just want to say
yes. But in any case, before we start, I would like to kindly ask you to use the QR code and try to ask the 3 words that come in your mind when we ask you, what is AI?
In the same application as before. Let me share my screen again.
AI, what is AI? AI refers to machine-based systems that can make predictions, recommendations, or decisions that it influence real or virtual environments, which means that AI is a simulation of human intelligence demonstrated by machines. And what we ask from machines to do is to think and act rationally, like humans. So what we did is to provide data to the systems and ask them to make decisions. If we can proceed. But how does AI looks like? Maybe the first, I don't know, picture that comes in our mind is a robotic, but it's not only that. AI can create art. If we can proceed. It can, there is a delay on.
You can, I think you have the remote control. Now if you click, you can click yourself.
Okay, okay. So, I'm sorry, I can't do it. If you can continue to support me in that. Okay, so AI looks like that. It can create art. These paintings are created by a system. It can also create music. If we go on the other side, or it can predict how it would look like in the future. Great. So AI, if we think about that, it's everywhere. And maybe we have to think how, during our everyday workflow, how we interact with AI. All of us, maybe we have talked with a chatbot to ask recommendations to support us in our work. Maybe we have talked with Alexa or Siri. All of us, we've used our smartphones, or even we play games against the computer. So AI, it's everywhere. And if we can. Great. But when AI system is trained on the data, as we said, is trained on the data, it can inherit biases. So this we have to keep in our mind is that we have to take into consideration what data we provide to the systems. Because if we want to ask from a system to act like a human brain, we have to ensure diversity in all aspects of working with AI, because if we would like to otherwise we have to deepen the inequity. And maybe we don't want to do that, especially when we're talking for education. So AI is a multidisciplinary field of study considered a branch of computing. Some basic concepts are machine learning, as most of you written before, deep learning, and many others. So the Council of Europe have already created a glossary. You are more than welcome to visit it. We can proceed. And where you can see some basic concept. The next, please. Some basic concepts in the field of AI. So AI are related with big data, chatbot, deep learning, neutral network, natural language processing, and many others. And what is well known nowadays, and it was also mentioned by yours, is generative AI. The next, please. And when generative AI generative AI refers to the use of AI to create new content like text, images, music, audio, and visuals. So generative AI models are trained on very large datasets from which they learn the patterns as structure and then generate new synthetic content that has similar characteristics. So talking about generative AI, we're talking about many positive feedback that can provide, but at the same time for many challenges. If we proceed, please. The European Parliament aims to pose three specific obligations talking about generative AI, and what this is to ensure transparency, to put safeguards against generation of illegal content, and at the same time to document and provide detailed summary of the trained data protected under copyright law. Now talking about education in the age of AI, all of us, we have to think, to consider that technologies are part of the school class. And what UNESCO mentioned is that these new tools can prove invaluable in providing personalized support and adaptive learning. But here, even if the benefits will be many, at the same time, they also raise questions. And these questions is that how we can use all these AI systems. And in that case, we must recognize that the way in which both students and teachers themselves approach knowledge and learning has already changed. So in one point, we have to think that we, like teachers, educators, need to be retrained in order to meet the new challenges during the educational process. How this has to be done? If we can proceed, we're talking about, maybe we can proceed as well. We're talking about different aspects, and what we're trying to do is to ensure that education should be accessible, inclusive, and equitable for all, according to the Council of Europe. So this means that AI systems, through personalized learning pathways, real feedback mechanisms, and innovative teaching methodologies, can cater to diverse learning needs and ensure that no one is left behind. So AI systems have to be aligned with human rights, values, and respects the dignity of every learner. If we proceed. So talking about AI education, we're talking about teaching and learning with AI, and at the same time, which is more focused on the functions that can be integrated in the educational process. And at the same time, we're talking about teaching and learning about AI. And this is about AI literacy. And in that part, I would like to give the floor to my colleague Xenia, who will give us a broader aspect about AI literacy.
Thank you, Dora. Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be with all of you, and thank you for joining us. Along with our excellent colleagues, we hope that we will add a lot of value to our discussions as we progress. So thank you very much, Dora, for this excellent introduction and overview of all the different aspects. And now, as you said, we will focus on exploring what do we mean by AI literacy, more as a competency that will help us navigate in this emerging technological environment. As Dora showed us, it is really everywhere around us. So when we talk about AI literacy, we actually refer to the set of competencies that we need as individuals to understand, to communicate with AI, to evaluate AI, and to effectively use it as a tool in our daily lives and across our, let's say, professional environment, within our professional environment. So by AI literacy, we actually mean the set of skills that we need and the competencies that should be provided to all of us to act in our abilities as students, teachers, etc. So by AI literacy, thank you very much, Marianthi, we actually want to integrate what? We want to be in a position to use, to understand and know. Here you can see Bloom's taxonomy for educational goals adapted to AI literacy. So we need to know and understand. We need to know how to apply and analyze AI-related problems in our activities and be in a position to evaluate with a critical view and, of course, create or produce original work. If we can go to the next slide, you will see that, yeah, great, thank you. You will see that when we talk about AI literacy, we actually integrate two different aspects. We need to consider the technological dimension, the technical aspects and the technical components related to data, algorithms, etc. But we also should focus on the human dimension. This is something we usually tend to forget. And this includes all the elements that Dora mentioned before, like ethical and societal perspectives that should be taken into account. Now, this is what should be. Let's see what actually is. So given UNESCO's recent AI school curriculum mapping project back in 2022, analyzing a set of schools across the world in relation to the AI curriculum, they identified and they found that teaching of AI in schools is relatively uncommon back in 2022. The technical topics are the ones that prevail, and of course the human impact of AI plays a very small role in the teaching process, like ethics of AI similarly. And what is also interesting is that all courses linked with AI were actually taught by computer science professors. So there was limited involvement of other fields of scientific fields. If we can go to the next slide. Thank you so much, Marianthi, for your great support in this. You will see that actually AI literacy is important for all of us in our different roles, supporting us in our daily activities as students, teachers, parents, professionals, etc. So as citizens, we need to acquire some level of competency with regard to AI. We need to be in a position to understand, acquire the skills and values in order to be AI literate. Because this is the basic grammar of our century. And as you will see in the next slide, this is a crucial aspect, AI literacy, as a form of human right, if you want, education as a form of human right in this new era, that is a core part of the emerging AI regulation that was proposed by the European Commission during this March 2024. And entered into force during this August. So in the AI Act, you will find article in particular that focuses on AI literacy and the need to equip civil society with the skills, knowledge, and understanding around AI systems. Of course, no specific guidance is provided at the moment. However, we envision that this will come in the upcoming period. If we go to the next slide, and here, just to give you a very short introduction, since we talked about the Act, and this is an important part of our discussion when we talk about AI and education, we'll try to very briefly give you some initial overview. So this regulatory framework is the first legal framework around AI across the globe. So it tries to address risks, adopting a risk-based approach, and it's part of a wider policy package and policy measures that have been proposed at the European Union level, linked with trustworthy AI. And the pyramid you can see to the right actually classifies systems into 4 different risks levels. So we have unacceptable AI systems, unacceptable risk, high risk systems, limited risk systems, and minimal or no risk systems. If we can go to the next slide, you will see what this really means in detail. So by unacceptable risk, we actually mean systems, AI systems that are prohibited. They are not allowed to be active. So by that, we mean social scoring, cognitive behavioral manipulation of people, or specific vulnerable groups like children. Then we have high-risk systems where we classify here biometrics, critical infrastructure, education is part of that, law enforcement in addition to others. And these systems, although they are high risk, they are permitted, but they are subject to a certain set of compliance requirements aligned with the law, like including ex-ante conformity assessments to assess the system before they are introduced, actually. Then we have systems that pose in the yellow category transparency risks, so smaller risk. They are permitted but subject to specific transparency obligation. And then we have minimal or no risk AI systems that are permitted without any restrictions. And here we see that it is up to the developers, providers, deployers of AI systems to voluntarily submit to specific codes of conduct or standards, etc., that will emerge. If we can go to the next slide, you will see this information with additional detail. And here in the prohibited category, you will see systems linked with the educational sector, like emotion recognition, for instance, in the educational setting. And if we go to the next slide, to the high-risk systems, now trying to see the AI Act from the lens of the education in particular, we will see that for high-risk, education is considered to be a high-risk AI system. So systems used to either determine the success of the admission to an educational course, assessing the learning outcome of students, predetermining, so trying to classify whether someone will receive or not a certain level of education or education in general, or individuals try to assess and monitor the behavior of students during assessment tests are considered high-risk areas. And of course, additional ones are found linked with vocational training, linked to assessment in educational institutions, etc. And with these high-risk systems, as we said before, there will be specific obligations in order to ensure compliance with the law and the regulatory framework. If we can go to the next slide, you will see that now we have educational systems and AI systems that are prohibited. In relation to AI literacy, what we have in particular, you may be wondering. So here, what is crucial to say is that AI literacy is highly recognized as a crucial element that is relevant not only for students and teachers, but for all of us. So this means that this AI literacy requirement for the ethical deployment of AI systems should be ensured for companies as well. So providers and deployers of AI systems are required to take measures in order to ensure a sufficient level of AI literacy for their staff and those within their organization dealing with the operation and use of AI systems. And of course, this is not a far-fetched requirement. This will apply this February 2025. If we go to the next slide, I just would like to provide you an overview of where this is, where the regulatory framework is positioned within the European Commission as part of a broader framework that is linked with trustworthy AI. And with trustworthy AI, we essentially mean legal, lawful AI systems, ethical AI systems, respecting ethical principles and values, and robust from a technical and social perspective. And here you can see this relevant documentation. If we can go to the next slide, I'll try to be as swift as possible. I think time is passing quickly. Thank you, Bojana. So just to say that this trustworthy AI focuses on four key ethical principles that are based on our fundamental rights. And these have to do with the respect for human autonomy, the prevention of harm, fairness, and explicability, systems being transparent, open in relation to their capabilities and purpose and explanations. If we can go to the next slide, you will see that, thank you, there are a number of policies and regulations. I will not go into detail, just to give you a flavor of what exists out there in order to protect us from a regulatory angle in relation to AI, in relation to online platforms and AI-powered educational tools and services, in relation to data, the General Data Protection Regulation. And if we go to the next slide, you will see that recently the Council of Europe has made clear the need for a legally binding instrument for AI and education, coming from a report that was published in 2022, providing the ground for, let's say, for this regulatory framework that will be discussed during this October, and we will be part of it to provide you additional information as we progress. If we continue, you will see that there are also a number of educational policies that are relevant and linked to AI for education. And a key policy has to do with the Digital Education Action Plan that my colleague Dora will continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Xenia. Thank you so much for this detailed description. Actually, it will be just a very short conclusion. We're talking about the Digital Education Action Plan. It's an initiative, European initiative, that it's focused on to set out a common vision of high quality, inclusive and accessible digital education in Europe. And this is an introduction and a connection with the digital education, and more specifically, if we can go to the next one, to the digital citizenship education. So we're talking about the digital citizenship education, where we have to empower learners of all ages through education to actively participate in a digital society, exercise and defend their democratic rights and responsibilities online. And for achieving that, we're talking about values, attitudes, skills, and of course, knowledge. So here we include also in our discussion the concept of digital literacy and how we can provide this to our learners, to our students, and at the same time, we're talking about the digital citizenship competencies, which are be focused under the three umbrellas. We are talking about being online, well-being online, and our right to fight our rights online. The challenges are many. We have to, if we can just how to try to go deeper. We're talking about different challenges, technical and non-technical ones. We, like educators, who have to empower for them. We have to deal with these challenges. And why? Because we would like to create, and how? Because we would like to create a more inclusive and democratic educational environment. We have to rethink maybe our teaching methods and empower students to be interested in new technologies. And at the same time, we have to fight for a more equal approach and also encourage all students of all centers to be part of that. If we go to the next one. And yes, so we're talking about an inclusive democratic society, and we're talking about democratizing technology, which should be one of the aspects of us according to our approach like teachers, educators. Thank you so much, and apologies for the time.
No, you are almost there, only 4 minutes behind, but your girls provide us with so many, I would say, important information. And I wrote it down here, like AI is the basic grammar of our age. This will be a key takeaway for me from this event so far. So, dear participants, now it's time for you. Please just unmute yourself and pose a question or give us a comment if you have for Dora and Ksenia. Also, you can write it in the chat also. Thank you, Marianti, for recording. So Oksana Pasichnik will share with us her thoughts about AI plus education and future ready. Oksana, you will tell us, are we already in the future? But before I give you the floor, I will give a few words about you to our participants. So Oksana has been teaching computer science in Lyceum Tikhivsky, pardon my pronunciation, in Lviv, Ukraine for 20 years. But I would say when looking at Oksana, you will see her that she looks to me more like a student than a teacher in this Lyceum. Oksana is contributing to the work of European Wergeland Centre as an online learning consultant, developing and supporting online resources and courses. As a Council of Europe Digital Citizenship Education promoter, she is conducting and supporting activities aimed at active, positive, and responsible engagement of students with technology. Oksana is a member of the National Curriculum Development Team in Ukraine, focusing on the subject area of computer science, as well as transversal digital competency. So, Oksana, the floor is yours. You have 20 minutes. And I'm sure you will enjoy it. Oksana is a wonderful presenter and expert in this field.
Thank you.
To have you here.
It's lovely to join you all during this webinar. And yes, we are going to talk about our readiness for the future and whether we are preparing our students to be ready for that future that awaits them anyways. So I think we have heard a lot about what artificial intelligence is. About its use in shopping, in robotics, in different banking activities, in insurance, in supporting us with foreign languages, with navigation, and many other things. I think if we think about how many times we have used artificial intelligence during one day, we would be surprised that even if we didn't use any ChatGPT or something like that, it's actually present in our everyday activities, and it has been there for quite a long time. Honestly, these technologies are not something extremely new. But at the same time, sometimes we forget that artificial intelligence is actually not intelligence. It's actually just data ruled by algorithms, and that's how we should perceive it. We don't have to be afraid of it. We don't have to be afraid of killer robots who will become smarter than us and just rule this world. We shouldn't think that artificial intelligence applications are only for geniuses, only for the smartest of people, only for technology people, because it's for everyone. And another thing, we need to understand that artificial intelligence is it is actually physical. It resides in some hardware that is ruled by some software. So it's not magic. But at the same time, we need to also understand that artificial intelligence is not going to go away. When first ChatGPT became available for public use about 2 years ago, many people believed that maybe we can just ban it for schools and just wait out for some time. It will fade away and we will not have to deal with it anymore. But actually now I think everybody agrees that it's not going to just go away. And the other thing, which I think is very important, is that this transition to the world with artificial intelligence has shown us a lot of risks that are already in our educational systems, a lot of risks that are already there in our societies. And I think the fact that we are able to highlight the problems is one of the benefits of artificial intelligence in our lives. So on the next slide, I would like you to think about the quote. Another historical source, maybe Bojana will like it as well, about the discovery that was creating a lot of anxiety. If we read this quote, the discovery will create forgetfulness in the learners' souls because they will not use their memories anymore. They will trust external written characters and not remember themselves. Maybe some of you will think it's about artificial intelligence, but it's not. It's about written characters. It's about the text that was written down many, many years ago, many, many centuries ago. And some educators, and not really bad educators, I believe Socrates was a great philosopher, they believed it was a threat to education and to the future. And I think we can apply these same sentences to any kind of modern technology that came into our lives. On the next slide, we will see that the same things were told about artificial intelligence, about the internet that became available quite freely, about the calculators, not so many years ago, actually, about television, which was supposed to kill all the theaters and all the books, but it didn't happen. Also, the books that were published, they were supposed to kill education, as well as written symbols were supposed to kill education. And somehow our education survived all of that. Humanity also survived all of that. And I totally believe that we will get through the next stage of education and next stage of our society development with AI, as we did with all the previous technologies that are present on this slide. So yeah, it's not really new, but it still poses a lot of questions and a lot of anxiety among our teachers and students. So on the next slide, because I'm not sure it's working for me, we can see the findings of our questionnaire, in which some people believed, about 10% of teachers believed that impact of artificial intelligence of education is negative or very negative. And honestly, it means that we don't see it as a only threat. We see it as also an opportunity, as a possibility. So it's not just the risk. Also, a lot of teachers said that it is the lack of training that is the most problematic at the moment. We are not so much afraid of the technology as the fact that we don't know how to use it. We would like to use it effectively to be good teachers for our students. And actually, teachers feel about artificial intelligence with some anxiety, with some skepticism. We are afraid that it's going to change a lot of things we love about our work, a lot of things we love about working with our students. And I think that is the whole point of dealing with artificial intelligence or any kind of new technology, honestly. We just need to think about the fact that every time we will meet a new technology, we need to be ready for that. We cannot be prepared for that by our previous education. We cannot learn everything in order to know everything that's going to happen in the future. But still we can have some values, but still we can have some skills. We have some basic knowledge to rely on when we meet this new technology, so that we are not just afraid of it, but we understand that we need to conquer it. We need to use it to our best advantage. So on the next slide, there are some myths in education, in AI in education, that you have probably come across. That it will replace teachers, that it promotes uniformity and kills creativity, because no one is going to write anymore, no one is going to paint anymore because AI is there. That technological systems are very unbiased because they are very fair. There is no human factor in that. So we can think about this quote really interesting, because honestly, it's the opposite. That AI-generated content is always low quality, or it's always inaccurate, which is also a myth. That AI reduces critical thinking, and actually, I think it's the opposite. And actually, every time we see this huge quote, huge heading in the newspaper, online or offline, with red letters stating something, I think it's our marker to think about it very critically, to understand that probably it's not like that. Probably we need to think more about what's underlying all those headings. So on the next slide, I would like to showcase a number of statements about what education with AI is and what it's not. Education with AI opens the door to personalized learning, to differentiation, and it is possible to do that in seconds. To conversion to digital for many students who are struggling with handwriting. For many students who need a translation of their learning materials, artificial intelligence is going to help with that. For many students who need text-to-speech or speech-to-text transition to be effective in their learning, that's what is enabled with artificial intelligence. And it's not replacing teachers. At the same time, it's not going to solve every problem we have in education. It is not another subject that is going to be on the curriculum. And it's definitely not something that needs to be added on top of everything else that educators are doing at the moment. So we need to think about artificial intelligence or any other technology in education very critically in a very balancing way. We need to remember our why, about our pedagogy, our teaching methods, our students who are at the center of this whole process, and just use these technologies to make sure that we are doing the best job we can. And on the next slide, there are benefits of artificial intelligence in education. And every benefit has a but. It is personalized learning, but school is more than just content. Even if you personalize all the content in the world, the school is not just about the content. Yes, it provides access to high quality education, but it is very dependent on infrastructure. So yes, it is possible to access the best teachers and the best lectures and the best content. But if you are out of electricity or out of internet, you're not going to access it anyways. Yes, it's efficient and productive, but you learn to be dependent on these tools, and maybe you unlearn how to do it yourself. Yes, it provides predictive analytics. It's very nice when there are some suggestions for the actions you might take, but it's also biased, and actually it's very standardized. And the decisions that are provided by artificial intelligence, they are not very creative. And maybe if we were not using them, we would come up with better decisions. And of course, it allows us to create engaging experiences for our learners, but it's more screen time. So actually, yes, there are a lot of benefits, but each of these benefits has a but. On the other hand, yes, there are risks of artificial intelligence in education, but again, every risk has a but. And on the next slide, we are going to see those risks. Yes, artificial intelligence may be causing loss of jobs in many areas, including education. But we lack teachers at the moment anyways. Maybe that's the solution that we are going to use to make sure that our teachers enjoy their profession more. Maybe we can take some load off the teachers and actually allow them to do what they love the most. Maybe the lack of personalized instruction and interaction is going to provide us more time with building relationships with our students. Yes, on the one hand, it lacks access, and sometimes it's inequality in the access, that is the digital divide that is going to separate those who have access to artificial intelligence apps and those who don't. But those who do actually have access to around-the-clock personal tutor, and they can get the support in their education even if their teacher is not available at the moment for some reason. Yes, the privacy and confidentiality is a huge issue with artificial intelligence and data that it collects and it uses for training the algorithms. But actually, we have pretty good laws that cover most of the issues, and we just need to be cautious and conscious about using these laws in creating those systems. So actually, even though we have a lot of benefits, even though we have a lot of risks, we also have to understand that they are pretty balanced. And it's on us, teachers, to actually make sure that we are using them correctly. On the next slide, there is a quote of one of the teachers who participated in our survey that we used before, yes, that I really loved this quote. Maybe the person who wrote it is here present with us. Please let us know that actually artificial intelligence is a double-edged sword. It can equip students with the tools, but it also carries the risks of limiting their exposure to diverse viewpoints and critical thinking. And that is, I think, the most important understanding that may come from using artificial intelligence. It's not only pluses and it's not only minuses. We don't have to be afraid of it, but we should embrace it very critically and very responsibly. On the next slide, there is a very nice quote from the organization that is creating guidelines on artificial intelligence. It is called Teach AI. And they are providing guidance on creating policies on AI for different levels, for countries, for school districts, for schools, and even for individual teachers. So in the past, we were talking about digital divide. That meant that there was a division between those who had access to computers or didn't have access to computers, who had access to internet or didn't have it. Now the divide is going to be who is empowered to learn with and about AI. That's what we were talking about, Ksenia and Dora. We need to teach our students about AI, and we need to use these technologies in our work as teachers, both responsibly and safely, in order to make sure that they are on the correct side of this divide, if there should be this divide. Hopefully, with our efforts, we are going to contribute to the demolition of this divide at all. And actually, the divides can be really, really various. On the next slide, we will see many more divides that can happen in the modern world. It's about bias. It's about discrimination. It's about marginalization. It's about hate. Everything that is listed here, it actually was not created by artificial intelligence. It was existing in our societies even before artificial intelligence was present in our lives. And unfortunately, it is not easy to fight all these divides. But I think that artificial intelligence and the fact that it is getting into our lives so massively gives us a chance to think about all these divides, all these issues that our societies had in the past and still have in the present moment, and maybe use this technology to fight these divides. For example, when we say about bias or discrimination, maybe we can actually start talking about critical thinking and use the examples that are generated by artificial intelligence to teach our students how important it is to double check everything you meet online, and not even only online, in any other sources. When we talk about discrimination and biased decisions by artificial intelligence systems, maybe it's time to really talk about ethics of those decisions and who is responsible to make sure that these systems function transparently. There is a very broad movement called explainable AI, so that the developers of AI feel responsible for their actions. They are responsible to make sure that the process of decision-making by their systems is transparent and clear enough for all the users, so that we know what kind of ethics they are based on. Maybe the hate and marginalization that is so present in our societies can be dealt with digital citizenship education. Again, this is the environment in which our students thrive. They love being online. They love being in digital world. Maybe we can use this as a path to their hearts and their minds to make sure that they are the kind of citizens we want them to be for the future. So yes, everything has two sides, and I think this experience of encountering AI in our lives actually teaches us to deal with this as much as possible. So yes, on the next slide, we will see the generalization of two approaches to artificial intelligence. One is AI literacy, to understand how it works and use it. And on the other hand, literacy of creating artificial intelligence apps and actually building some systems that are based on artificial intelligence. And this organization, Teach AI, has recently published a very interesting document, which on the one hand is for computer science teachers. And maybe some of you will say that, no, it's not for me, it's only for technology teachers. But actually, on the next slide, we will see that this document is created and crafted in such a way to be as a guide for any other subject in the future. Because the guidance can be used for any subject. You can insert any history, mathematics, languages, arts, whatever kind of education, because it invites us to think about very important questions that we need to be asking ourselves as teachers. Does our work, does our subject teaching prepare our students for the world with artificial intelligence? So I think there should be some, no. There was supposed to be more text, but it doesn't matter. Oh, yes, there it is. Does our education help our students realize the benefits and mitigate the risks of artificial intelligence? Do we use technology in a wise way to broaden participation in our subjects, no matter what kind of subject it is? How do we think about modernizing curriculum and instruction nowadays? When we have all these tools, when we have all this new knowledge, when we have calculators, how did it change mathematics instruction? And I think at the moment, artificial intelligence is influencing all the subjects. So it's not just computer science or mathematics or history or arts or any, name any subjects you teach, it will be influenced by artificial intelligence in the same way that mathematics was influenced by calculators. And what they have done with mathematics maybe shift from some very basic operations. We really need to move to another understanding of what education is and what our job as educators is in this new age. So on the last slide that I have prepared, I encourage you to think about your subject area, the subject that you love so much that you are teaching that subject. What are we teaching? what is the content we are teaching? Is it in any way influenced by artificial intelligence? And if you think it's not, think again, because quite probably it is. Can our homework remain the same? Can our classroom teaching remain the same with these developments? And what kind of citizens we want our students to become? What should we change in our subject, in ourselves, in our methods of work, in order for our students to be the kind of citizens we want to live with in the future? So those are the questions I think are worth thinking about during our time together now, or maybe till our next meeting.
Thank you, Oksana, for this very inspiring presentation. I think you gave us all a lot of food for thoughts. Before I give a floor to the participants, I will recall to something that you have shared in this presentation. You've been pointing out about the new digital divide. Who is empowered to learn with and about AI. But I will connect that with the results of the research. It was conducted in the previous stage of the project, where 67% of the participants actually expressed that they feel that they have a lack of training. So I see the connectivity in this. So I will ask you to just briefly evaluate on it and also to share your thoughts, actually, what the skills teacher needs in the age of AI. How should we teach? What should we change? Thank you.
Oh, that is such a great question, but I don't think I'm capable of answering very briefly. But to be honest, I think that the main competence teachers need now is flexibility and courage to actually experiment, not to be afraid, not to be intimidated by the technology. Because trust me, nobody has the answers at the moment. Nobody knows for sure how to do it right. We are all figuring it out together. And I think that the bravery to actually experiment, to be flexible, to question your teaching, it's very difficult, but it's very empowering actually. So I think those kind of competences, and it's funny that we are not talking about anything connected to technology. I'm not talking about knowing some apps or being able to use ChatGPT or whatever kind of system there is out there. We are talking about something very humane, something very non-technical. And that is something very important to remember when we are talking about artificial intelligence. It is not about technology. It's always about people, about how we are dealing with this technology. So that's what I think.
Thank you, Oksana. So I will sum up, be brave and how to say, curious.
Curious, yes.
To go into the unknown. Yeah, thank you. Is there any question or comment among the participants? Now it's time for you to give us a few observations. Please, guys, you are absolutely... Mariante, you can stop recording.